Well, hello, fellow Texans. Welcome back to the James Show. It's News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM WBAP. Let's go. I mean, let's not get too ramped up. Let's not set any cars on fire or anything. But are you starting to get the feeling that they want this to continue? They wanted to riot. Look, let's just go ahead and say it. I think they were looking for an excuse to riot. I think every time a riot happens, we know it comes from one side of the aisle. And I think they like to have their base inflamed because as long as they're emotional, they're not rational. And as long as they're emotional and thinking that you are supporting Hitler, they can get them to do terrible things to you and your town without worrying about your safety. Because that's one of the things that should gall every law-abiding American when they watch what's going on in mostly Los Angeles, but they're goofing off in Chicago and some other cities as well. We're not really putting up with that here in Dallas. Also, not so much in, can't believe I'm giving them credit here, but New York City.
New York City!
Their mayor said they're not putting up with it, and they're not. But they're just looking for an excuse here. But think about it. The people who should really be concerned, the law-abiding citizens of Los Angeles, where's the concern for these guys? I hear a lot of concerns like, oh, they're bringing in the National Guard. They're bringing in the Marines. They're making people feel unsafe. Law and order makes people feel unsafe. You know what makes people feel unsafe? Stepping outside to go to work and you have to smell a burning tire. I think that makes people feel unsafe. You're worried about the well-being of the rioters, but what about the well-being of the everyday citizens in Los Angeles who just want to go about their business without having someone block their car or block their intersection or block the 101 or walk out on the highway or chucking rocks at police? And it's not just, the law-abiding citizens. As long as they're not chucking rocks at me, as long as they're not chucking bricks at me, a lot of these people are married to cops, have a father who's a cop, have a son, a cousin, an uncle who's a cop. You're friends with cops. Some of the guys you went to high school with are cops. We don't all see the cops as some sort of subhuman scum that's just a foot soldiers for literally Hitler. They are fellow human beings. And I got a lot of news for the people who think this is helping. I don't think this is helping. And I think one of the oddities that came out of 2020 is they thought it helped. Because sometimes riots get things done. One of the reasons the civil rights movement got so much attention and in the ways that it didn't previously was from the riots. Not that that was a good thing. I still condemn them. Martin Luther King condemned them. So I'm not so sure if that helped more than it hurted, but it sure did bring some attention to the cause. If you're trying to think of when has a riot actually helped? When has a riot actually done something positive? And don't think in positive as far as your value system, the value system of the rioters. When they think this is helping their cause? I mean, this is helping your cause if you're trying to get 28 pairs of Nike Dunks. But no, just in the cause from which the riot is predicated. Would you say the riots after Rodney King had the positive effect? Because the Rodney King total racial angle there. Don't we all kind of agree when this happened in the mid-90s that the OJ verdict was sort of a mulligan, like a make good for what happened with Rodney King? But other than that, I think the dangerous part is in recent history. In 2020, you saw riots almost every weekend, nonstop, from Memorial Day until the election. And then magically, after the election, no one felt like rioting anymore. What a coincidence, huh? But we know this is politically motivated. We know this isn't motivated off, just facts on the ground or any sort of logical algorithmic conclusion. These are people that can get just revved up, sent out in the streets, cause chaos, and be agents of disaster for the puppet masters that are pulling their strings. The media that's pulling their strings, their favorite celebrities, their politicians that are pulling their strings. How do I know that's how it happens? Because the other side doesn't do it. Team Red doesn't do this. But I think some people are associating the fact that, 2020, that got the Team Blue voter base energized. It got the message out. It shamed the people on the other side. It made it not cool. In fact, it made it almost scary when you see all this destruction and violence. Fires on TV. It made you scared to stand up to that. You don't want to get caught up. You don't want to be getting in front of that train coming at you. But if the 2020 election was really stolen, then the riots didn't really work, did they? I mean, they may have won some down ballot races, but isn't that sort of the determining factor? Because I think there's a lot of people who, if they take the political view on this, are thinking, yeah, this is a good way to get our base energized. This is a good way to get people engaged and excited and paying attention and have their mind on politics is not just some sort of secondary hobby, but really the fiber of their being. This is part of your identity. You're an activist. You're a freedom fighter. You go out there and you take it to the streets, fighting the man. Gives you a sense of purpose. Now you're not just some lazy, underemployed, skillless nerd. You're fighting the man. You're fighting literally Hitler. I don't know if that works, because I'm starting to be of the belief that they are pushing more people away than they are gaining. 800-288-9227. I guess that's the question of the day. With a secondary question, with the media narrative's hilarious, talking about how peaceful it is. Can a riot even be peaceful? So I'm going to ask my next guest those exact two questions. Is this helping or hurting the cause more? And can a riot be peaceful? Because I think the plan is for riots all summer, and I don't think it's going to help. Coming up next, Elsa Kurt. You knew her as Blonde Kamala, but she has her own show. The Elsa Kurt Show is going to be my guest next. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey there, welcome back to the James Show, News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM WBAP. I think we should buckle in for riots all summer. I think they're going to ride this until it either starts to hurt them significantly in the polls or they get distracted by the next shiny object. What do you think? 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. My next guest, you knew her as Blonde Kamala. We have since retired that character, unless she wants to come back. I think she might be running for governor in California. But anyway, she now is host of the Elsa Kurt Show. Elsa Kurt, welcome back. All right. So your thoughts on my initial question of the day, can a riot even be peaceful? Because that's how it's being presented right now. No, these are mostly peaceful riots. Is that even possible, Elsa?
Well, I mean, if you're on the left, yes, you're a Democrat, you absolutely believe that. You're the rest of the state, common sense. People, absolutely not. Absolutely.
All right. So I think the audio source for you is on the laptop mic and not the one that's clipped on your shirt there. So just change your audio source, and that'll be fine. So tap it to test it here. But see, that's part of the narrative that's coming up. And I'm not pulling this out of the sky. This is what they're trying to roll with now. And I find this curious because this is really testing the Team Blue true believers here. Can you really have riots that are nonviolent? Isn't like the definition of riot, not just a public gathering or a rally, but what delineates it is property damage, violence, intimidation, chucking rocks at cops. Maxine Waters, not a problem for her.
And even those who were out of step with what we are advocating, peaceful protest, did not create any violence. Nobody was shot. Nobody was killed. Get it in your head.
Yeah, hey, no one was shot or killed, so you can't call it violent, Elsa.
Can't call it violent. It's always mostly peaceful. We still got an echo?
Yeah, I don't know. Tap your mic. Is it even on the right source?
Yeah, it's saying that it is. Amateur hour.
All right, we'll get closer to whatever mic you are using, and I'm sure it'll be fine. Because it's not just Maxine Waters. We expect her to say goofy things like that. The other thing is they're trying to minimize it. Mike Barnacle was on MSNBC saying, yeah, I mean, there's some riots, but it's just like a few blocks. It's 4 or 5 blocks total. I mean, is that really a big enough deal to send in the National Guard? So they're trying to minimize it in that way, too. Now I got nothing. You want to try the phone? Yeah, we'll do that. All right. Sorry about that. It happens. Live radio, 800-288-9227 if you want to answer those questions. But let me play the Mike Barnacle clip here because this is the two-pronged approach here. You can't say the National Guard doesn't need to come in and restore order if you're admitting that they've gone violent and if you're admitting that it's kind of widespread and out of control. So they have to have two lies here. Number one, this is the first riot that's not violent. And also, it's just a few blocks. It's not like the whole city is burning down. So with that, those two minimizing agents, you can kind of start to make the case that, well, calling in the National Guard is totally unnecessary. I guess that's just what Hitler would do. So we are dealing with this rewriting of the narrative right in front of your face. I really appreciated that Maxine Waters clip. What you missed in the video was the fine folks at Fox had put that side by side with a montage, some B-roll, as we call it in the biz, and next to Maxine Waters saying, "Oh, that's not violent. What you got here? It's just people who are exaggerating. No one was shot. No one was killed. So you can't call it violent." Well, I thought that was adorable because next to it, you're seeing cars on fire. You're seeing the rocks when the guy that was throwing the rocks at the cars when they were coming by in a line and just hitting cars. People dropping stuff off bridges on the cop cars. The fireworks stuff. I mean, that looks kind of scary, but also that looks kind of fun. A little part of James, the child that lives on in this adult body, kind of thinks it would be fun if I put on a bunch of riot gear and got one of those big fiberglass shields. And then what we did is you could shoot Roman candles at me. because I've shot rum, and I don't advocate this. This is dumb stuff that people from Buck Tussle do, and we think it's funny. Is we've shot fireworks at each other, but we put on a motorcycle helmet with a visor, and for us, that's enough protection. All right, Elsa Kurt, do you think the people on Team Blue, the true believers, do they buy this that it's not a violent riot, or are they okay with it because they think they're literally fighting Hitler?
You know, I mean, they believe this narrative with their whole hearts, and of course, I think there's some that do have an ounce of common sense and can see through this. But man, oh man, not nearly enough of them are seeing this for what this is, and it's just more gaslighting from the left, from the Democrats, more absurdity, and of course, the most obvious, more violence. And this is how they handle everything. When they don't get their way, they resort to violence, and the riots isn't our first rodeo, and we're the ones all paying for it, and it's a shame to see.
Will it work though? Will it energize their voter base? There's a strain of thought out there that thinks the summer of love that happened in 2020 with the George Floyd fuse that lit the bomb, that's one of the energizing factors that led them to a win in the election in 2020.
The base that they're appealing to is illegal aliens, illegal immigrants, people who aren't supposed to be here in the first place. I think the average person is looking around at all of this, and this is what I hope, and I don't know if this is the case. I hope they're looking around and saying, I don't want this. I don't want this in my neighborhood. I don't want this in my cities, my towns. I don't want it coming to my house. Outwardly say all the things that sound right for the for the left, but quietly I would have to think that they're saying no thank you, I don't want any part of this. But we'll see, won't we?
Well, I would like to see more condemnation of the riots from people on Team Blue, and some of them do. Like Bill Maher will openly condemn it. I've seen John Fetterman, the stroked out senator from Pennsylvania, say that that's never okay. And then I'll hear like Karen Bass and Gavin Newsom say we totally condemn any property damage or violence, but these guys have a right to be out there, and we shouldn't be stopping them, and we shouldn't be sending in the National Guard. So they're doing a weird balancing act.
Right. Yeah. Well, Gavin is hoping for that 2028 political run there, and I hope this further diminishes that hope for him. They're playing both sides of the fence to a degree. They're doing the tough talk. We're not going to put up with this from Trump. But the reality is they're not protecting their cities. They're not protecting their citizens, and they are going to be voting for them or not voting for them. I just, the gaslighting again is astronomical. The left-run media, of course, is the biggest culprit here of pushing false narratives and misleading people. And I just hope they're seeing through it.
Elsa Kurt from the Elsa Kurt Show. I appreciate your time on the James Show. If you need, I can get you a new microphone. If you need that one.
I'm going to need one, apparently.
All right, thank you very much. I'm asking you the same question now. Is the average Team Blue voter buying this media narrative? The riots are peaceful, and if there were any problems, it's Trump's fault he started it? Because I think some will. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM WBAP. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I'm your host, James Parker. Hey, some news. Our James Show meetup for this month is going to be a special occasion to Alex Stein from The Blaze, and he's been on the James Show 4 or 5 times by now. You may have known him. He's the guy that goes in front of the city councils and raps or does some other kind of performative act. Goes viral all the time, but he's now on Glenn Beck's network, The Blaze, and it's just up the street here. He's a local guy. He's doing a comedy show June 29th at Hyenas over here in Dallas off Mockingbird, and I'm going to be one of the openers. So this will count as the James Show listener meet and greet meetup for June, and then for July, I have another one that's going to be happening. I think I'm going back up to Plano again. I was invited by the Collin County Republican Party, or at least maybe there's women Republicans or something like that. But they wanted to set me up, and it sounds like we've kind of come to terms on a pretty good deal. So that's the next two. And for all of you people who like comedy anyway, if you can tolerate mine, Alex is really funny too if you want to go to the show. 800-288-9227 if you want to answer a couple questions. I'm floating right now because is the average Team Blue voter buying this media narrative that the riots are mostly peaceful and it would have been just fine except for Trump escalated everything and then things started catching fire and people started chucking bricks at cops, and there's got to be a bottom on what tribal allegiance can buy you in the face of absolute lies. When they're telling you it's mostly peaceful, but in the background there's a building on fire. Like, how far does your head have to be up your backside before you think, I'm a little skeptical of that report? Shirley and Alliance, you're on WBAP. Go.
Yeah, I kind of missed the first 2 days, I think, of this riot thing happening. But I was doing work the third day. I'm watching television the first half of the day. I'm listening to CNN, and I'm seeing Fox back and forth, and I'm looking at it. I'm watching them tell me that the day before they were burning cars, self-driving cars. They showed multiple of them burning, and riots all over in the neighborhoods, and people, bashing cops and things like that were happening. And within hours on CNN, I hear the announcement that Trump has decided he's going to send in National Guard. And I'm not kidding. Within 3 or 4 hours, that narrative, as I'm finishing my work for the day, has changed. And CNN is all about how nothing's really happening here and that the police have been handling it very well. And they keep saying a few bad actors are out there. And I'm going, no, that's not what I saw on the video from last night that, was just replayed for me 7 hours ago in the morning. And they're saying now they've stuck with that narrative that there's nothing to see here. Everything's fine. And the police have been handling it just fine. I thought, no, because the video that I'm seeing from the day before and the day before is not the police handling it just fine. And I'm thinking people like me in Texas and other states, what's running through our head is we're saying to ourselves exactly what we said in 2020. We said, is it safe for us to go outside today? Is this sounds like a war strategy to me where you capture the perimeter. They started with the East and West Coast like last time. You capture these perimeters, and then the people in the middle don't know where they're going to go. And they have every right to think it might come to my city. Is that where it's coming next?
Well, they want you to be scared because they want you to be irrational. And as long as you're irrational, they can take you while you're in your emotional state and point it in different directions that you wouldn't ordinarily accept if you were not in a calm state, a logical state, a rational state. We all got the perfect lesson on how this works during COVID. They let us shut our own schools. They let us shut our own churches, Shirley. And what's the First Amendment? Freedom of assembly, freedom of religion, speech, press, redress the government with your grievances. So all of us, I don't want to say all of us, but the country as a whole shuttered all that because we got scared. We got emotional. We weren't thinking logical. Now, I would like to say, well, I never fell for it, and I didn't, but what good does that do anybody? And I'm not here to lord over my own moral superiority here. The point is they can make you do irrational things once they get you scared. And they have these people scared. They have them throwing bricks at cops. Now, there's a lot of just irrational things that we can all see with our own eyes. If cops are so scary, if they're just bloodthirsty, murderous people who like to shoot people of color, non-white people for sport with no consequences, would you really be throwing bricks at them? Would you really be running up to their phalanx and shooting fireworks at them? Is that what you would do if you didn't want to be deported? Would you be flying the flag of Mexico while demanding not to be sent there? Like there's so many cognitive dissonances that should happen that can only exist because people are emotional.
But what I see is a media who changes their tune based on what's in the news that day. I can remember, fry 'em like pigs, and CNN was all on board with that. Oh, they absolutely had a passive aggressive, oh please no attitude. They actually supported it. They did. They hated cops, and they insinuated and outright said it on multiple programs that these officers, a lot of them were prone to be violent because they were ex-military. So they were ex-vets who had a propensity to be violent. And they said that over and over. And I thought, so now but yesterday they were all pro-cops all of a sudden. I'm like, these are the same cops that you hated and talked really ill about back then.
Yeah. We saw that flip-flop in 2020 where they went from 10 years of Black Lives Matter and all cops are bad and pigs in a blanket, fry 'em like bacon. And then when January 6th happened, it's like, can you believe someone hit a cop with a pole? We got to throw them under the jail.
The minute that officer shot someone, all of a sudden they turned pro-cop and started supporting cops at that point.
Yeah. Cops shot a protester in the neck. What's wrong with that? Yeah, no big deal.
Because that support shows anti-Trump. It's a resistance to Trump, and that's what I see.
Okay.
I see this ignorant.
You see it. You see it. I see it. Do the people on TV that are running around in the street see it? I don't think they do.
No.
Yeah, agreed.
I don't think
All
they
right.
do.
Great call. That's Charlene Alliance. 800-288-9227. I want you to answer some of these questions too. You and I see the obvious conflicts here, logical conflicts. Do they see it? Is there any limit to the depth of lies that these people will accept? 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. Hey there. Welcome to the James Show. I'm your host, James Parker. It's News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM, WBAP. You know, these anti-ICE riots aren't going away. In fact, they're ramping up. Now, not here, not when you look out your window, you're not seeing anyone chucking bricks at cops. But there's a national effort for a big round of protests this weekend. So that should be fun. And we'll see the difference here, because one of the theories, and it's not even a theory at this point, it's just an observation that's true over and over and over, is these riots, air quotes, riots or protests or whatever that get out of hand, mostly peaceful protests, they seem to only persist in certain areas, which if they could be shut down in Dallas and Houston and, my God, even Austin, the fact that they persist in Los Angeles and during George Floyd, it was Portland and Seattle and Chicago and all that. It's because they don't want to stop him. Now, do they not want to stop him because they think this is helping the cause? Do they not want to stop him because that's pretty much their constituency and their voters that they would be ticking off? I like to take a look at the people who are actually doing the rock throwing, the brick throwing. What's going through these people's mind? Do they really think that they're fighting literally Hitler? Do they really think, yeah, it's a mostly peaceful protest. I'm just chucking a brick. I'm just setting a car on fire. I'm just looting the Apple store while writing F ICE in spray paint on the windows. This is how you affect proper change in a well-functioning democracy. Bill in Hartford as in Connecticut?
That's correct.
Okay, well, you're on WBAP. What do you think?
Well, this whole situation is in LA. Sorry, it's pretty intense, and I think it speaks to larger systematic issues. But before I forget, have you heard the new Turnstile album, James? I'm curious.
Turnstile album?
Yeah.
No, I haven't even heard of Turnstile. Is that something I'm supposed to know?
Yeah, the kids know about it. They went from playing like basements and VFWs, and now they sound like Fugazi at a juice cleanse.
All right, what is that? What do they have to do with it?
Oh, I thought maybe you'd be hip to it. They were like a hardcore band before. Now they're kind of like emotional dance punk or something for gym music for people who cry on leg day, I guess.
Okay, but what does that have to do with the riots?
Well, I mean, do you think if the riots had a soundtrack, this would be like make the cut, or is it a little too introspective?
Yeah, I wish I knew, because I have no opinion on the topic. Andrew in Georgetown, you're on WBAP. Go.
So I would like to ask a legitimate question to somebody who really thinks that they're doing good and trying to protect illegal aliens, where if we just said, or if Trump just said, we surrender, we're just going to pull back and not deport anybody. The questions I would like to ask these people is, would crime go up amongst illegal aliens? Would possibly illegal voting go up amongst illegal aliens? And would illegal aliens who take advantage of social programs that they're not entitled to, do they think that would go up, or would that go down, or would that stay the same?
Yeah, but you're thinking like Andrew in Georgetown. You're not thinking like a guy who would throw a brick at a cop. So I mean, I can do. I know, but I can do some devil's advocate, because Andrew, you and I think a whole bunch of people that are added to the welfare rolls and the SNAP benefits and the public housing is a bad thing. They see that as a good thing. This is poor people that are getting help. This is helping people. They think you're a bad person for wanting to kick people off the dole. Remember when in the big beautiful bill, they're like, "Oh, this is going to kick 7 million people off of health care." No, it's not. It just means that it won't be subsidized by the taxpayers. If you do get health care, you'll get it. You're just going to get the bill for it, not us. They also think getting rid of illegal immigrants is a bad thing overall. Like, well, who's going to work in the kitchens or pick your food or whatever? They don't see the world like we see it. And if you have some people who are agents on behalf of literally Hitler, it's not a bad thing to throw a brick at them, even if they're in a cop uniform. So you're thinking like we think, Andrew. If you want the answer to these questions, which is what I'm trying to get to, I'm trying to get inside their head.
I just, even if you just said just the violent crime, you forget about all the other stuff. Would violent crime go up or down among illegal aliens if we just stop doing it. I just, you would have to be absolutely insane to say no. It
Here,
wouldn't.
look, I got it happening right here. Some guy on YouTube is listening to us, and he says illegal immigrants can't vote and can't participate from social programs. Buddy, educate yourself.
Okay, there's the answer to my question.
They just buy any of that. Yeah, that's right.
I love your show, buddy. Thank you for what you do.
Thank you so much, Andrew in Georgetown. And for the guy on YouTube, I know illegal immigrants aren't supposed to vote, but go do a couple of Google searches. See if an illegal immigrant has ever accidentally voted or accidentally been in part of the legal process. See if illegal immigrants really can't participate in social programs. If they go to if they go to the emergency room and they get medical care and they can't cover the cost, who covers it? Where does that money come from? Does it come from fairy dust? Do they go dig it out of a treasure chest in the backyard? Or does that come from Medicaid? Does that come from the taxpayers? Yeah, you educate yourself. And what other social programs can they participate in? I don't know. It's like public schools. Some of them do get SNAP benefits. Some of them do live in public housing, especially if they're under the asylum hearing process. Even if they don't get asylum while they're waiting on their trial, they can get all that. I know people who did. I know people who... 800-288-9227. Educate yourself. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. Look, an illegal immigrant Colombian, $400,000 in stolen federal benefits, voted in the 2024 election with a fake ID. There you go. Took me all of 5 seconds to look up. Got any more brain busters? See, I like the headline compared to the caption from the doubting guy down below me. Isn't that hilarious? That versus that. This is what you believe. This is reality. This is the lie. This is the truth. Hello, fellow Texans. Welcome back to the James Show. News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. Let's go. You ready for the riots this weekend? You got anything to do? I doubt your weekend's going to be interrupted by the rioters, but they're planning on having them all across America. There's another round of nationwide protests that are going to happen 2 weeks after that. So we're just planning on. Have you done what I've done? I recommend this. I have gone through and I've signed up for all kinds of newsletters from these lefty activist groups, Indivisible, 5051. What's the new one now that I'm signing up for? No Kings. Yeah, this is all good stuff. You can follow their groups on Twitter/X. You can follow their topics on Reddit. You can follow some of the Facebook groups for these people. And they have it mapped out. I'm telling you, if they have their druthers until they give the stand down order, the plan is to just keep this going. For how long? I don't know. It's been a lot of our observations, mine included, that they really can't keep these things going for more than about 3 months or so. The national attention span does have some limits. That's what made the George Floyd protest so extraordinary, is they actually lasted for about 5 months, which is sort of a record. Well, I guess maybe even more than that, because it was June, July, August, September, October. No, because it stopped on Election Day. When Donald Trump lost, all of a sudden, no one had any more interest in racial justice anymore. And so the weirdest thing is almost like it was completely political. Make no mistake about it. That's what they want. If they can keep the excitement going, or the fires burning, which would be perfect metaphor for this. Before the break there, I was having the conversation with the previous guy, and some smarty pants came over here on YouTube. Must be new to the show. He was making the case, illegal migrants can't vote and can't participate in social programs, buddy. Educate yourself. And so then I brought up some examples. He said, nah, man, bring me proof of significant voter fraud from illegals. Well, I did a quick search, and on the break, within a minute, I found a story that I didn't have to cherry pick. I just went back, 3 weeks? This is from May 22nd of 2025 on justice.gov. The headline is Columbia National charged with voter fraud, federal benefit fraud, and identity theft offenses. Turns out there's a woman from Columbia who's been here illegally, unlawfully residing in Boston, got fake ID, real ID, has received more than $400,000 in stolen federal benefits. I don't have to make this up. I don't have to invent sort of fantasies in my head. The real life does support what I'm saying. $260,000 in Section 8 rental assistance. $101,000 in Social Security disability benefits. $43,000 in food stamps. Well, supplemental nutrition assistance program. So, yeah, it does happen. But if your only comeback is, oh, yeah, well, bring me some widespread examples. Well, stop. Then you're never going to be satiated. You're impervious to logic if that's your comeback. But we've seen a lot of people being impervious to logic. So we have a couple of doublethink attempts here. They want you to be mad enough that you go and you throw bricks at cops, that you go and you write F-ICE on the Apple Store in Los Angeles, and then you loot it. They want you to be that upset, but they don't want the people in the hinterlands to get too scared and think you're a bad guy. So while you're out doing very violent things, including arson, including theft, including assault, they have to convince the people who are scared of such things, the pearl clutchers. This is a mostly peaceful riot, really.
The LA County Police say that they have it under control. Carrying a flag is not illegal, as you know. What did happen in 1992 was so different from what we're seeing now. I mean, that was a real riot.
Video after video has shown that these agents are the ones provoking protesters and also making up, aggression by these protesters that later video shows people were not aggressive.
We are having an administration that's targeting peaceful protests, people that are there to protest. The president is sending the National Guard because he doesn't like the scenes. He doesn't like the scenes of people peacefully protesting.
The unrest is isolated. LA is home to millions of people, most of whom are having a normal day here on Sunday.
All right, so the Grabian montage actually continues for another minute. I got a nice little dime here. PBS's Jeff Bennett was saying that Trump is escalating the riots. I'm just going to play the question here. The answer
It's Amy Walter of the Cook Political Report with Amy Walter and Tamara Keith of NPR. It's great to see you both.
Hello. Good to be back.
So let's start with what's happening in Los Angeles with the deployment of the National Guard, the federalizing of those troops, and then add to that the roughly 700 U.S. Marines who've been deployed. They're now on standby. Tam, this is clearly a fight that Donald Trump wants. What is his strategy in escalating the response?
God, that's the question. What is his strategy in escalating the response? Like, he did this. Is that Trump supporters doing that? MSNBC had probably the best one this morning. There's a guy standing in front of a fire, in front of fireworks going off, in front of a riot, saying, other than what you see, the riots are mostly mellow.
It's not chaotic. It's not, nobody's, other than what you see behind me, it's actually relatively mellow, even though it might not seem that way. It's like a sort of, another thing that happens at protests like this is that they sort of settle into almost like a celebratory atmosphere, as much as like a confrontational one.
Isn't that the pair? Just the giant pair it takes while explosions are going off behind you to call it mellow. It looks like Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome behind you. That is not mellow. Oh, but January 6th, that was an insurrection. That was way out of control. We gotta stop these guys. Clowns. My next guest is going to break down what he saw at the protest earlier this week in Dallas and what he expects for the big protest scheduled for this coming weekend here locally. Tony Ortiz from Current Revolt next. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820 93.3 FM, WBAP. Get ready. I think the riots, the protests are going to be here all summer. I'm not sure what's going to stop them. I have a couple of guesses. Number one is if public opinion sours on these things and the powers that be realize, or at least the powers that be on Team Blue, realize that this is hurting them more than it's helping them with the voting constituencies. Other than that, I'm not sure if I see another exit ramp here in the near future. You know, the George Floyd riots quit after the election. There was nothing that happened having to do with the case or the discovery or the trial or Derek Chauvin or any of that stopped it. So clearly that was a political motivation, and these people just magically stopped on their own when it was no longer politically beneficial for Team Blue. I'm looking for that off ramp. My next guest may have some insight for us. Tony Ortiz from Current Revolt. Now, Tony, you're an important person to talk to because you actually go to many of these protests. I believe you were at one last weekend. Are you going to be at the ones this weekend? It was Monday. So let's talk about the one on Monday first. It didn't look like Los Angeles. There weren't cars set on fire or buildings looted. But was there any big problems that you would classify as violent? One thing I noticed from the protest on Monday is, I saw more Palestinian flags than Mexican flags, and I didn't see any American flags. So why do you think this weekend's going to be worse, Tony? So, since you actually are on the ground seeing some of these protests over and over, are you seeing some of the same people, whether it's something racially motivated like a Carmelo Anthony, or something that's motivated by immigration like this ICE issue, or the Palestinian protests that were happening a couple months ago? Is this just the same people finding different grievances? All right, we're talking with Tony Ortiz from Current Revolt. He's got a great website, currentrevolt.com, that deals with a lot of Texas political, and I don't like to use the word tabloid, but it's, I don't know, more of a gossip bulletin board. Okay, so let's talk about, I think you do what I do. Have you signed up to be on the mailing list for a lot of these groups, you know, like for Indivisible or No Kings or 5051 people? Do you get some of their mail? Oh, well, I didn't know that. Tell me about that. Tony Ortiz, how do you think this ends? Yeah. So, Tony Ortiz, when you go out there, just be sure to get me some good audio that I can use on Monday's show. Which one are you going to? Because I'm looking at the website. There's one planned this weekend for Arlington, Flower Mound, Frisco, Kaufman, Fort Worth, McKinney, and Dallas. Fantastic. All right. Well, this is great. Tony Ortiz, who actually goes down into the mix and gets some audio and video of these protesters. Check out his great website, currentrevolt.com. Thank you so much again, Tony. All right, be safe out there. And that soundbite he mentioned about how this is polling, the immigration actions of Donald Trump polling on CNN, I'm actually playing that next. So you'll hear from Harry Enton on CNN about how this isn't as politically popular as Team Blue had hoped. I'm James Parker, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey there, welcome to the James Show. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. If you want the Rhino list, people are still, every time I bring it up, I get a bunch of emails for it, so I'll keep mentioning it. The 36 Republicans that went down to Austin to the State House of Representatives and voted with the Democrats on so many issues, including Speaker of the House and the budget. And, you know, these are the reasons why you didn't get your property tax cuts. These are the reasons why we're not going to really have school choice. These are the reasons why so many other, like E-Verify, didn't even pass in the State House. And that was part of the big chunks of the platform that they were running on that you voted on. And they went down to Austin and they turned on you. They became rhinos. I have the list of those people so we can primary them out next year and we can try again in 2027. Also, the next James Show meet and greet, listener meetup, is going to be at a comedy show. Alex Stein's hosting it. I'm going to be one of the openers, June 29th at Hyenas in Dallas. Come on out. That'll count for our meet and greet for June. And in July, I think I'm returning to Plano. More details about that when we get closer. But the top story of the day continues to be the riots. They haven't gone away. They have gotten a little bit better from what I was watching in Los Angeles last night. Not nearly as bad as what we saw previously. Still unacceptable. But the question is that they want this to keep going, right? I think we all agree. They're at least going to do another big round of them this weekend. They're going to do another big round of them in 2 weeks that I see. I'm on a bunch of mailing lists for this stuff. It's fun. But my theory is they're going to keep doing this as long as they find it politically beneficial. However, is it politically beneficial? Because if you look at illegal immigrants, of course they don't like the ICE raids. It's them that are being targeted. It's them that are going to have to, I don't know, it just feels weird to say they're going to be sent back home. Oh my God, that's so terrible. I'm going to be targeted and sent back to my country of origin. Oh no. Like sending someone home, that's not really a punishment. It's not really a violation of your human rights, is it? But I find it quite interesting how legal immigrants feel about this. Harry Enton on CNN had a couple of good points he was making last night. Legal immigrants seem to like Trump.
Look at this. In 2024, all the way up to 47% of the vote. Some polls I looked at had him barely losing that vote. Some polls I looked at had him barely winning that vote. Again, there is no block of voters that shifted more to the right from 2020 to 2024 than immigrant voters. And Donald Trump, at least in some surveys, actually won that vote. On average, it's about equal.
So then when we get to the specifics, not only do they seem to like Trump and generally speaking his immigration policy, how do they feel about the ICE raids that are happening? Legal immigrants, Harry Enton?
Democrats, get this, held a 32-point lead on this issue. Immigrant voters were in the Democratic camp. Jump forward to 2024, 2025. Look at that shift, a 40-point shift to the right among immigrant voters. Republicans now lead on this issue by 8 points over Democrats, more so than any other group that I could find. The group of voters who became more hawkish on immigration were in fact immigrants themselves, immigrants who are registered to vote in this country.
Ooh. Now that might make it die down pretty quick. They're starting to lose voters over this. That's amazing, because you were just told yesterday on The View that Trump's ratings, they're just dropping everywhere. And at the end, even with the immigrants.
It into what he wanted to do. What he wants to do is he wants to create a scene. He wants to say, I was justified in sending in the National Guard because look at how violent these protesters are, which they were not until this was exacerbated.
They're fine.
I think he has a strategy here. He is losing support in every area. Inflation, the economy, tariffs, foreign policy. His ratings are dropping.
Even
like
on immigration,
like rocks.
Yeah, even on immigration. Yeah. No, they're not. They're just saying that. They don't need to look it up. They don't need to double check. They don't need to fact check. It just feels right. It fits the narrative. It makes Trump look bad. So we'll just say it. Oh, I'm enjoying this so much. I don't know what I like better, that or the idea that these are mellow riots. Other than what you see, the burning buildings behind me, burning cars, totally mellow.
It's not chaotic. It's not, nobody's, other than what you see behind me, it's actually relatively mellow, even though it might not seem that way. It's like a sort of, another thing that happens at protests like this is that they sort of settle into almost like a celebratory atmosphere, as much as like a confrontational one.
Yeah, it's celebratory. It's fun stuff. Donna, Dallas, you're on WBAP.
Hello. Yeah, you were talking about the legal immigrants or people that go through the process and how they felt about it. And Saturday, I went to a party for a friend of mine from Colombia who just went through the process of becoming a citizen. And so they were having a party for her. And yes, she's very not happy with the way things are going with the illegal immigrants coming and just getting in after she had to go through the classes and take the test and all that stuff. So I would think that kind of goes without saying.
Well, I've seen it be super divisive. Me and Miss Parker have a mutual friend who is. Hi, Miss Parker. She initially came here illegally as a kid, but when she turned 18, she's like, I'm going to do the right thing, and she started the process. Well, she's not even finished with it, and she's been going through it for like 11 years, and it's cost her thousands of dollars.
God.
So, well, she's from Mexico. There's pretty much a waiting line. But she has siblings who are illegal and want to be illegal, have no damn intention of even attempting to make themselves right with the law, getting a green card, much less citizenship. And she says it makes her so mad that her brother put a Mexico flag sticker on her car.
Oh my God, have mercy. Yeah.
So I see siblings arguing with each other. This divides families because
right, exactly. And it should. I mean, it's ridiculous that you even have to talk about it, but we are.
Well, she even says the things that we say here on WBAP. She's like, if you love Mexico so much, why are you here? You know, we still have family there. You can get a job down there. You'd have a place to stay. It's not a foreign country. You still watch your favorite soccer teams from up here, Chivas or, the Tigres or whoever it is. Yeah, Atlas or America. I don't know who you people, what your favorite team is. But, yeah, she says the same thing, and she's an illegal.
Yeah, see, it makes no sense. And, you're talking about the riots and all the calm riots when these people are talking and there's the burning cars in the background, which kind of tends to think that it's not a nice, smooth transition in the rioting.
Yeah,
so I don't know why they think we're stupid, but I guess they do.
Yeah, a bunch of 60-something-year-old gray-haired veterans loitering through Statuary Hall, not even knocking over the velvet ropes. That's an insurrection. Right. But the burning car behind you, totally mellow. That's mellow, Donna.
Absolutely. That's how it works on that side.
Great call. I got to run, Donna. 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. The other thing we got to dispel is this myth that Mexico should have control of California and Texas. This is stolen land. It needs to be returned to its rightful owners. Who, Mexico? We'll blow that out of the water next. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Something that keeps coming up here, because it's not just about the riots, it's about immigration in general, illegal immigration more specifically. Something keeps coming up. This idea that this is stolen land and should be returned to Mexico as it is. I pulled out just a little tiny chunk of this audio because beforehand there's cussing and right after this audio clip is cussing, but this is
our city and this was Mexico. You can't get this out of the land that was ours.
So let's address that. This was Mexico. You can't kick us out of the land that was ours. Okay. Let's address some of that. Was California ever part of Mexico? Well, let's do Texas too, because this applies to us. We're kind of in the same boat as California, where I'm sitting right now. Was this ever part of Mexico? Yes. Yes, this was part of Mexico. When was it part of Mexico? Well, from about 1820-ish to about 1836. I'm not Googling this, it's just off the top of my head because we all had Texas history in 7th grade. So yeah, for about 16 years. Well, what was it before that? Well, before that, for about 300 years, it was part of Spain, right? Spain's not an indigenous country or an indigenous people. That's another European colonizer. Ooh, European colonizer. So before that, what was Texas? Well, it was split up among many tribes of the Native American Indians, none of which were the people classified as Mexica. It's another word for Aztecs, but it's a little larger umbrella, sort of like the whole Nahuatl speaking groups. So no, the Mexica people have never been in charge of Texas, except if you count Mexico during that little 16-year period. So that's strange. So even though we have had it for 200 years now, almost 200 years, it's not ours. We don't get to claim it because you never had it, Mexica. You were granted some of the European colonial holdings when Spain fell, and that's not anything y'all really did. That was more of a Napoleon thing, different show for a different time. But no, you don't have a better claim to this land than we do. It was only, the Mexican flag only flew over where I'm standing right now for 16 years. For California, a little longer than that. What was like 20 something years? Oh, you got us. We've got almost 200 years on you now. By what right is it yours? 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. If you want to use that sort of logic, then the Mexica people shouldn't even have all of Mexico. You people never controlled the Yucatan Peninsula. That's Mayans. That's different people. The far north Mexico, that wasn't part of your tribes or your language group either. You know, the Chihuahua and Coahuila and all that. If you want to go back and start, redrawing the borders based on who was here first, where does it stop? Can the Christians get Constantinople back? Cleo and Plano, you're on WBAP. Your thoughts?
You already hit on it. I was going to say that. And when you look at the current people that are sitting there now, they're more Spanish than they are any of those Indians. So you cannot have a bunch of colonizers, theoretically, when you look at them going, oh, we're taking back, the land that we already had. Just shut up. It just sounds bad.
You know what? I'm glad you brought that up because the other angle is we're the native people of this land. It's like, well, your last name's Garcia. Your last name is Gonzalez. These are European names. Yeah, you don't have.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, you're not an Indian. You're a European descendant who just happens to be a little browner than some of us Native Americans, and I mean native like people who are born here, natural born citizens of America. So yeah, that's a great point to bring up because what's the number one last name in Spain? I think it's Garcia, right? Isn't that?
I think it is too.
Yeah. So not only are you not one of the natives, I mean, look, you have some native genetics running through your veins. I think most of us do, even Elizabeth Warren. But you guys are kind of colonizers too. When y'all got control of California, y'all were colonizers. When Mexico had control of Texas, it wasn't because you were the native inhabitant. You were colonizing the people in Texas.
That brutally suppress those people. So don't sit up here now going, my name is Garcia and Hernandez, and I want back my land where I brutally colonized, put people in special schools and did all sorts of horrible things. But now I want this back, and I'm going to try to play and pretend like I'm a victim.
Yeah, well, I just want to know, like, whenever the game of undoing musical chairs, how far back do we go? Can we get back Anatolia? Can we get back Istanbul/Constantinople? Can the Christians regain that? I don't think they'd be on board with that.
Yeah, and I think that's why traditionally that saying might makes right makes sense, because how far back are you going to go? Because nobody is really standing on any land that was originally theirs.
Right, and I hope everyone gets that. Thank you very much, Cleo in Plano. Hey, how would you like to win a 4-pack of tickets to go see the Rangers? 1 week from today, they're going to be at a game at Globe Life Field. Starts at 7 o'clock. And if Rangers aren't enough to get you in the door, free tickets aren't enough to get you in the door. It's also $1 hot dog night. So I don't want to say you're cheap. Maybe you're just really efficient, or maybe you're just really judicious with your scarce entertainment dollars. I can help you out with that. It's one of the contests we have going on right now. If you text Rangers to the phone number for this station, you'll be entered in a contest to win a family 4-pack of tickets to see the Rangers next week. 800-288-9227 is the number. You text the word Rangers to 800-288-9227. And hopefully you win, have a good time, make some memories with your family, and then tell me all about it in an email later. Coming up next on The James Show, there was a crazy story about a stolen cop car that happened last night in Grand Prairie. I think you're going to love this next. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Well, hey there, fellow Texans. Welcome back to the James Show. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. So while Team Blue is calling for No King's Day this weekend to be a nationwide protest against ICE and Donald Trump and literally Hitler, I think the proper response for us wouldn't just to be to sit back and do nothing or go on about our day or just wait and laugh at them and how silly they are. I think this would be a good time for like a National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day. And I mean it sort of in a vague general sense, because law enforcement, that means, your local cops, your state cops, DPS, Texas Rangers, Border Patrol, ICE agents, all you guys, because they're the ones who are really going through it right now. We're all talking about it. They're the ones that have to strap up and like they're about to be middle linebacker with a big old shield and go stand in the street and listen to all kinds of insults and have water bottles thrown at them and spit on and just very not nice things. Can we take a moment of appreciation for what these poor guys have to go through? Because I would hate that job. Hey, you're getting overtime, James. Oh, what's going on? Well, they're doing a protest Saturday. Dang it. I don't want to do that. I don't want to go out there and get all suited up, stand out in the hot weather and get treated like garbage, be told I'm a Nazi. That's not what I want to do with my Saturday afternoon. So just remember, these guys are going through it, and they're just taking the brunt of all the filth in front of our face. And also, they're having to deal with all the other criminals at the same time, the usual circus that they have to encounter being a cop. And if you need a great reminder of that, WFAA this morning ran a story about a cop car that got stolen in Grand Prairie last night. And I feel so bad for these cops.
We are following breaking news this morning. A suspect is facing several charges after police say he stole a squad car while being handcuffed.
Yeah, this is a story with a lot of twists and turns this morning. Let's check in with Janelle Fort, who was live outside Grand Prairie's Police Department this morning. And Janelle, we are still trying to figure out how this suspect pulled this off.
Yeah, look, police on the scene say that the suspect was handcuffed the entire time. So now a big part of the investigation this morning is figuring out how he managed to get into the front seat of that squad car and take off. Grand Prairie police say this all started when officers noticed the man driving erratically on I-20, swerving, flicking his headlights. They pulled him over, cuffed him, and then somehow he ended up behind the wheel. Now you can see the aftermath here. The chase ended off of I-30 near Westmoreland when officers pit maneuvered him and the stolen unit rolled down an embankment. Grand Prairie police say he hit speeds over 100 miles an hour during that chase and even sideswiped another police vehicle. The man was injured in the crash. You can see him being loaded into an ambulance. And now he's facing multiple charges, including theft of a motor vehicle and reckless driving. So again, this morning, Grand Prairie police are trying to figure out how this happened, where that man was able to slip in the cracks and get behind the wheel of that squad car. And this morning, we are as well. Sending it back to you.
So like a lot of young boys, I thought for a second there when I was young, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, that, being a cop, that would be a cool job. You're one of the good guys. You chase down the bad guys. You catch the criminals. You're Batman catching the Joker. You're Superman catching Lex Luthor. Insert hero here. And then the TV show Cops came out. And I realized what their job usually is. Well, I mean, from what I observed on Cops, you have some guy that's driving around without a brake light, or he's swerving, or he does something that runs through a red light or a stop sign. And so you got to pull him over, and you're dealing with just, I don't want to say like the lowest of the low, but you're dealing with the bottom rung of society. You're dealing with people that if they are criminals, they're just going to lie to your face. Have you had anything to drink today? No, officer, I hadn't had anything to drink. You want to step out of the car, please? And they just fall over because they're so drunk. There was a guy who said, do you have anything illegal on your person or in the car? He's no, sir. Do you have any drugs or anything? No, certainly not, officer. I don't do drugs. And there's like a joint of weed that's rolled up, sticking on his ear like a cigarette. You know, people put cigarette in their ear. I remember seeing an episode of Cops where some dude had a joint in his ear saying, no, I don't have anything. So you just have to deal with the biggest idiots, the worst criminals, and everyone just lies to your face at all times. And that made it, that changed what being a cop was for me. This wasn't some position of nobility. You weren't a hero. You weren't spending all your day just being respected and lionized. You were being treated like trash. And like even more so, these poor guys that have to go stand in the riot line, I feel so sorry for these guys. What a pain in the butt it must be to be these cops. So that's what I'm going to be thinking about when they have their little No King's Day protest this Saturday. Is I just got a load of respect for you cops who have been doing this for years. And now you got to take another Saturday that you could be spending with your kids. You're probably going to miss a soccer game or a birthday party or going to the lake or something, to go put on a helmet and grab a shield and deal with people who, what, some tie-dyed guy with a man bun and a neck beard is going to complain about the immigration laws being enforced. Hey, you guys have my respect. I couldn't do that job. Man, that seems like what a pain. You guys are great. 800-288-9227. Coming up next, Tim Young, comedian turned podcaster turned talk show host now, a fellow at the Heritage Foundation, their media watchdog, is going to break down the media coverage of this next. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM WBAP. All right, listen, homeowners, I don't know when this bad weather is going to end. I know usually we're about halfway through June and it's supposed to be 1,000 degrees. It's supposed to be the surface temperature of Mercury. But look, it's all gloomy. It looks like London outside. Your house has had a terrible, terrible time with weather here in 2025. And if you have any doubts on your roof, you need to call Blue Ribbon Roofing. James Parker here. Go to blueribbondfw.com. Read some of the reviews. That'll make you feel a little bit better about all the people here in North Texas who have gone to the website, scheduled their free roof inspection, gone through the process. A lot of these people have gotten a patch done or they've gotten a whole new roof. You'll hear a lot of people who are praising them for helping them with the insurance company. The insurance was trying to short sheet the bed. Blue Ribbon stepped in and saved the day, got them their full cost of the roof covered. So it's not just getting the roof on your house. It's also getting it paid for, and it's getting the insurance company to do what it's supposed to do. Cover your roof. You've been paying those premiums all these years. Let them help you get something out of it. Go to blueribbondfw.com right now. Schedule your free review. I did it 2 weeks ago. Go to blueribbondfw.com. Well, hey there, fellow Texans. Welcome back to the James Show. I'm your host, James Parker. And of course, we're going to be talking about the riot situation. It's News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. Not just the riots that happen. There's some that are going to be happening in our backyard coming up this weekend. And we all know what this is about. We all know that you don't affect change. No laws are changed. No policies are changed by protesting. This is just a narrative instrument. This gives the media something to put the images in front of the face of people who are easily led or easily persuaded, low information voters, not people like you who are actually doing the research and listening to talk radio. The question is, will this media blitz work? My next guest is the guy at the Heritage Foundation who's in charge of keeping track of these media nerds. Tim Young, welcome back to the James Show. First off, do you think this is going to help Team Blue engender more support? Well, I think people mistook the 2020 George Floyd series of riots, the Summer of Love, as being effective because they did well in the election that November. Oh, it's the damnedest thing. I have no idea. Maybe they went back to Mexico, Tim. How is that? Because they're not supposed to be voting, Tim. Yeah, and it's also if you tried to adjudicate it and prosecute it, it couldn't be proven in court. So they get to say illegal voting is super rare. It almost never happens. It's illegal. They're not allowed to vote. So you need to get your facts straight. Okay, well, let's talk about why is it so different here? I mean, you live in Grapevine. Why are we having riots in L.A., but when the ICE raids were happening in Dallas, no riots? What's the difference, Tim? Right. And kudos to our current mayor, Eric, for actually, he's a Republican now. But even when we had Democrats in power, like in 2020 and whatnot, it never got out of hand like it did in so many other cities. So I think even our Democrats are more sane than what we see in Los Angeles. Well, we're talking with Tim Young, Heritage Foundation media fellow, timyoung.com website. Trump proposed something today that I think is just meant to get under the skin of his perceived political enemies. And I don't like it, but I see why he's doing it. The idea of making flag burning illegal.
They proudly carry the flags of other countries, but they don't carry the American flag. They only burn it. Did you see a lot of the flags being burned? They weren't being burned by people from our country or from people that love our country. People that burn the American flag should go to jail for 1 year. That's what they should be doing.
Now, I don't agree with that sentiment, but I think he's setting up a whole bunch of people to go out and be white knights for anti-American haters again. You know, I have seen the Israeli flag be burned. So yeah, another great constituency there. And explain to me why we're seeing so many Palestinian flags at these immigration protests. How come Cutter doesn't support the James Show? They could buy a commercial package over here. I'd run ads for Cutter. It's like, Cutter, they've got sand and oil and sand. All right, now you're killing me. I forget you're a comedian sometimes because you're making like such hard-hitting political points and then you sneak in jokes. Tim Young, I am under the impression that they are bleeding support with these protests. And I think a big chunk of that is the media can only lie to your face so many times before someone says, really, that it's mostly peaceful. I see a tire fire in the background. Oh my goodness! I had there was a guy this morning. You may not have seen it yet. MSNBC. There's a fire going in the background. There's fireworks going off in the background, and he says, other than what you see, check this out.
It's not chaotic. It's not. Nobody's. Other than what you see behind me, it's actually relatively mellow, even though it might not seem that way. It's like a sort of. Another thing that happens at protests like this is that they sort of settle into almost like a celebratory atmosphere, as much as like a confrontational one.
Yeah, other than what you see, this whole scene's totally mellow. And that's not from the audiobook 1984. That was in MSNBC this morning. No way. All right, Tim Young, how do we find your work online? Well, pick a day. I'll promote it on the James Show, and I'll happily be your guest in exchange for being my guest anytime. All right, Tim Young, Heritage Foundation, and timyoung.com. Of course, he's also huge on Twitter and Instagram. Just go look up Tim Young. He's the first thing that pops up when you search it. Thank you, sir. All right, I have another sort of protest-adjacent viral video I'm going to run by you. Some guy with spaghetti arms and a man bun and a neck beard says we should be really scared of him because he has a lacrosse stick. I know it sounds like a joke. It's even funnier when you hear it coming up next on the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. Bob Lavelle now on the James Show. And this is the guy. Listen, when you're ready to buy or sell a house, I want you to clear out your mind like you've never met any other realtor or company before. This is the only guy you need to think of, Bob Lavelle, because Bob, I mean, how many thousands of people have you put in a home?
I think we're something north of 25,000 in the DFW area.
And you're not stopping anytime soon.
We quit. Literally, after 25,000, who's going to go 25,000? 25,000.
Right.
But you can help me out on something. And I don't know if you do or not. Have you ever owned a boat?
I have not owned a boat. I have watched my brother own a boat and brother-in-law own a boat, and it doesn't look very fun.
If I've heard the expression, the best day after buying a boat is the day you sell it. And it's confused me because, and I've owned a few boats, but it's confused me because, when you sell it, you're going to get less money on the boat. And I thought about that today. So why is it the best thing to sell it? Maybe because they're a lot of work and you're doing it the right way. Your brother-in-law, you should go with him and his boat. But I just had a client call me a couple hours ago, and he bought a house about 10 years ago. He called me a while back, and he was ready to sell it, and he had a new house in mind. We made the offer. The offer was accepted, and he's going to walk away with a little over $400,000 net profit. Now, that's a good day. So the selling the house versus, the boat thing, I don't know. I'd rather be the seller of my house, collect the equity, and then go do it again.
Bob Lavelle, it's a good angle to look at it. The first house I bought, I had it for a few years, and when I sold it, with the price increase that it had, plus the equity I paid down, I got back almost half of what I had made in payments. That's what I walked away with. This is how you build wealth. Owning a home, getting out of the rent race, building equity, calling home marketing services is how you get started with that. 972-392-9595. 972-392-9595. Bob Lavelle has the classic website, blessyourheart.com, or call 972-392-9595 and get started building your wealth today. Thank you very much, Bob.
Thank you, James.
Welcome to the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. So some people put stuff online and I just slap my head because they put it online as if this is like macho and intimidating. And aren't you scared? Actually, no, man bun. I'm not scared. Today's example, I got to paint the picture of the guy. He's got a man bun and he's got a beard, and it's not like a kept beard like mine. Like, I shave the underneath and on my neck and above the line. He has the whole neck beard and everything going. It looks like he's wearing some sort of tie-dye clothes, and he looks really skinny. And I don't know. I mean, he says he's awesome at lacrosse, but he looks like he's never lifted weight. He's got like little spaghetti arms. And listen to this threat. Does this scare you? This viral video?
So, rumor is, if you throw rocks at any federal agents or their vehicles, it'll get you put on FBI's most wanted list. To which I say, how hard do I have to throw these rocks to get put on it? Because my 35th birthday is coming up, and it would be wonderful to get put on that list. It's been a goal of mine. And knowing that I can throw rubber projectiles with this doohickey right here,
a lacrosse
about
stick.
100 miles an hour, imagine what I could do with a rock. You ever been domed with a rubber ball? Just a solid rubber ball? Oh, it'll knock you clean out. A rock? That'll shatter your skull. The indigenous peoples called this game Bagataway, among many other names. One of them was Little Brother of War. Can you guess what I want to do? I want to go to war with federal agents. You, ICE. You, Gestapo.
Are you scared? Are we supposed to be scared from this? Because I'm not. In fact, I don't think I've ever been scared of anyone holding a lacrosse stick. I don't think anyone in the history of America has been scared of a dude holding a lacrosse stick. Has anyone ever committed a crime while holding a lacrosse stick? Is there a more, I don't want to say effeminate, but is there like a safer sign that the guy across from you is harmless than holding a lacrosse stick? I mean, maybe if he's holding like a feather boa or something. But he's saying this like it's intimidating, like his little left. What is this performative trash talk, too? You want to be on the FBI wanted list? You think that's cool? Do you think that helps your cause? Are you doing this for personal clout because you think other people will think it's cool? See, this is. I get the feeling because you can almost tell by the way he talks. Like this guy went to too nice of a school growing up. Not only did they have lacrosse, but they didn't have bullies. You can tell this guy. I got punched in the face several times when I was a kid. And by several times, I mean at least once a year through my entire life up till about age 23 or 24. I think was the last time I got punched in the face. And I didn't necessarily do things to deserve it. It was just kind of a rough and tumble time. And, I didn't go to like a ghetto school. I'm from the middle of nowhere country. So, I don't think this guy ever got bullied. And he should have. People like that run their mouth like this. They've never been bullied. You can tell I've been bullied. But is there a sport more associated with just affluent, softy white kids than lacrosse? You're not scaring anybody. And just the illogic of the point he's trying to make. You're bragging because you could put a rock in your lacrosse stick and you can make it go 100 miles an hour, a tiny little rock. So you're admitting that the ability to make small projectiles go really fast is a useful thing, even a scary thing. Okay, well, if you think that's good, wait until you hear about guns. What do you think guns are? Oh, that's good. That's good. You can make a tiny rock go 100 miles per hour. Well, I can make a tiny little ball of lead go 2,500 miles per hour. Who's going to win? You want to escalate this to where with deadly force, you got to clean out. It'll kill you for rock. Dude, you're bringing a rock to a gunfight. You have a man bun and a lacrosse stick. You are not ready to go to war against the federal agents, even against an elderly woman with a .38 special. You would lose. Who are these people? Is that what happened? What's your theory on this guy running around his mouth? Oh, I want to be on the FBI most wanted list. Oh yeah, guy with the lacrosse stick. Yeah, you're a real scary criminal. We're all real intimidated. You're very macho. You must get all the chicks. In fact, see if you can save some chicks for the rest of us. What is with the man bun guy? Have you been scared of anyone in the lacrosse stick? Have you ever seen anyone commit a crime with the lacrosse stick? If you have your lacrosse stories, we're going to hear them next, but 0 people are going to call because no one has a lacrosse criminal story except for the Duke case, right? That's the only negative association anyone has ever seen with lacrosse. Coming up next, got a quick update here on the Wilmer Hutchins school shooter. No, not that one. The one from a year ago. He just got sentenced. 5 years in jail. That's it? Yeah, that's it. 800-288-9227. Details next on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Well, hey there. Welcome back to the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. So the Wilmer Hutchins shooter, it stinks that I have to put a delineation here, not the one that happened a couple months ago, but the one that happened last year in 2024, finally got sentenced. I mean, to say finally, that's actually pretty fast for our judicial system, given some cases. You just got 5 years. Is that insanely low to you? That sounds crazy town to me. 5 years for a guy who took a gun into school. You know, I thought it was a gun-free zone. You don't want to punish him for that? And then out of anger, it wasn't an accidental shooting. It's not like he was in algebra and he was cleaning his gun and it accidentally went off and hit the fella next to him. It was intentional malice. He shot a guy. I mean, he didn't kill him. But he tried to get away. Didn't work. He was found. So this wasn't a self-defense case either. This was a guy who did a school shooting. This was a guy who intentionally took a gun to school and shot a fellow child. 5 years in jail. If you want to know how to solve the problem with school shooters or crime in certain neighborhoods or any society or any city or any state, number one is when someone does a serious crime and shows you who they are, you put them in jail for a very long time. Now, does that fix the problem? It might. A lot of people go to jail and they have enough time to sort of think about what they've done, and when they come out, they're on the straight and narrow. God bless all you people who did that. But for many people, they're just waiting until they get out so they can commit some more crime. And when you put a guy in there for 5 years, that means you're going to have a guy who comes out about, 23 years old, 24? I don't know how old he is now. But about 23, 24. And instead of spending the previous 5 years, matriculating in university, and even if he's not going to a nice university, having a job, paying taxes, being a part of society, even if you go to like Brookhaven or El Centro or some community college, it's way better than being in jail. So you're going to have this guy who's going to go hang out with all the real professional criminals. And then he's going to be let out in 5 years, right back into the same community. And the odds are astronomically high that he's going to do this again. On a long enough time scale, the odds say, the numbers say, the math says that someone who's willing to commit a crime like this, and specifically like this, not he was embezzling some money from his employer, or not he was driving after having 6 beers, or he was a guy caught with a bag of pot. This is a guy who intentionally hurt someone with lethal force. Now, it didn't kill the other guy, but statistics say you shouldn't have a whole lot of hope for this guy. Now, if you were to put him in jail for, I don't know, say 10, 15 years, what you could do is have not only the next 5 years he's not going to be committing crimes in society, the next 15 years he's not going to be committing crimes in society. Let me give you a great counterbalance, because I think most people that listen to WBAP, probably you included, don't actually live in Dallas. Or if you live in Dallas, you're not in the heart of Dallas. You're not in like this hyper urban, super dense area. You're in what's more like a suburb. Culture's different, life's different, crime's different, things are different. But where I'm from, about 90 miles that away, things are very different. Let me give you an example. If in my hometown at the Bug Tussle newspaper, I just wanted to look up, like, what's the latest terrible crime that someone got sent to jail for? And there was one. Last week, guy got convicted of pimping. And I'm not saying that to be funny. He was literally the pimp for a prostitute. And they say she was teenage, but not minor. So 18, 19 years old. So the guy that got in trouble for being a pimp got 15 years in prison in Bug Tussle. Wow. So a vice crime got 3 times the sentence in the middle of nowhere. Different culture, different people on the jury, different judges that are elected by different people. It's a different world. You drive 90 miles in any direction, you're on a different planet. than here where I'm sitting right now. This guy shoots a child in the leg at school. Only 5 years. You know what? You people aren't serious. You gun control people. We need to have gun laws. We need to have strict gun laws. We need to have strict enforcement of gun laws. You don't believe that. The guy broke gun laws. He wasn't supposed to have a gun. He didn't get it legally. He had it in a gun-free school zone. And slap on the wrist. That's all you get. Terrible. You can go tax the rich people all you want. You can call your political opponents Nazis all you want. You can go on all kinds of racial crusades. You can have riots. You can burn cars. But until you do something about this, there's still going to be people shooting at your children in the bad neighborhoods. There's still going to be people committing heinous violent crimes at a much greater rate than that could easily be prevented. It's not going to be utopia. It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to fix everything. But we could at least reduce the crime if you would put your criminals in jail. All right. Coming up next, Mark Levin Show. I'm out of time. Thank you very much for hanging out with us. Remember, we'll do it again tomorrow from 2 to 5. If you need some more James Show action in the meantime, number one, go check out the podcast, WBAP.com, WBAP app, or any of these other apps where you listen to podcasts, even the little Apple Podcast app. But also find our stuff on social media. WBAP, The James Show. We have good stuff on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, X, Twitter, whatever we're calling it these days. And you can find some more goodies there. I'm James Parker. This has been The James Show, News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM, WBAP.